I want you to see me, to see us, to see Muslims in general as just normal people. That we're not anything fancy or different or weird, but that we're just human beings just like you. And that's really what I want to convey. There's this idea that of what Islam is. That we're told in the media, we're told by other people of what Islam is and what Islam believes. And Islam is not a monolith. Islam is not something that is just a single structure and this is what it says and all Muslims are the same in this regard. But Islam is a very diverse religion, encompassing over 1 billion people around the world. There's over 3 million Muslims in America alone. It's a religion that's existed for hundreds of years. It spans many countries, many cultures. People of all skin colors, people of all backgrounds practice Islam in many different ways. Each person's experience with this religion is different, and it impacts everyone in a different way. So my narrative of what it was like for me growing up in Delaware as a Muslim is different from what it might be for someone else growing up as a Muslim in Delaware. But one thing we all have in common is that we're just normal people who just want to live our lives, right? We're predominantly peaceful. We just, we go to work, we go to school every day, we go home, just like you. Difference is we pray in a different way. We pray 5 times a day. So for me, growing up, going to school in Delaware, during lunch break, I go and pray somewhere in one of the teacher's rooms or something, pray for 5 minutes, and then I come back. On Fridays, instead of Sundays, we have our prayer services. So we go to the masjid, we go to the mosque, we go and listen to the imam speak, and he gives a sermon which is very much like the sermons that you're used to. That we need to be good people, we need to be compassionate, and so on. And we have a lot more in common than you might think. We believe in all the prophets that you believe in. We believe in Moses and Abraham and Jesus and so on. We respect the Bible as a book of God. We have a lot of the same principles in common. My parents came here many years ago. They immigrated for opportunity for a job. And growing up here, my experience was that I found this country to be a very nice place. People didn't see me as a stereotype, as some sort of, whatever people might think a Muslim is, but people just saw me as a person. No one really judged me for who I am as a Muslim. No one really, sometimes people give you weird looks when you're praying in the corner somewhere. Sometimes people are curious when they realize that you don't drink alcohol or you don't do certain things. But for the most part, I found people to be welcoming and compassionate, right? And that's really what we should strive to be. Because the people who are most susceptible to things like Islamophobia and these sorts of arguments that politicians make in order to rile up people, get people excited, these things affect the people who are most vulnerable in our society. They affect the people who, maybe in New York, someone who owns a grocery store, and they become the victims of vandalization. This happens a lot. It affects women. It affects people like my mom, my sister, who have to go to school, who have to go to work every day, who have to go out wearing a hijab, and they're clearly and visibly Muslim, and they're subject to harassment, people making fun of them, people calling them names. And this causes, people to be scared, for us to be scared, It's the little Muslim communities all over the country where there's a lot of masjids that have been burned down due to vandalization. I went to Little Rock, Arkansas for a community service trip once. And we went to a masjid, a mosque that had been burned down, and we saw what remained of it. That someone had, in the middle of the night, vandalized it and forced it to the ground. Imagine that. Right? These are the consequences of the kinds of things that these politicians and media and whatever, these ideas that we have about Islam being this other thing, this weird thing that we need to be afraid of, these are the consequences. It affects people. Right? There's a lot of people in this country who are nice, who are compassionate, or understanding. And that's for the most part what I've experienced, what I've met. But there's a lot of people who are not like that. And there's a lot of people who suffer as a result of those types of dialogues and things. Right? There's this idea that, we have a narrative. Right? Every Muslim has their own narrative. And when you allow the things that people say on TV, when you allow the things that people say in the media and so on to decide what Islam is, that other people are saying, people who aren't Muslims are saying, this is what Muslims believe. Someone else is telling me what I believe, right? This is really the issue with Islamophobia, is that it takes away my ability to say what I believe. I can't say that Islam is peaceful, that it's just like normal, Islam is about worshiping God and having a spiritual connection. I can't say that if I'm saying that I'm being politically correct, right? I'm not being honest, somehow I'm hiding something, right? This is the kind of environment that it fosters, right? It takes away my ability to say what my narrative about Islam is. What happens, hundreds of miles away, what happens to all these groups that do all these crazy things, that doesn't speak for what I am as a Muslim. That doesn't speak for what the community in Delaware is as Muslims, for what all Muslims in America are. Like, that's not what we are, right? And if we want to deal with that, it has to start with things like this, where we're having a dialogue. We have to be willing to just see each other as normal people and just communicate on that basis. I was part of a club at NYU, which was about Jewish-Muslim interfaith. And it was amazing the kind of things that we could do when we just got people from different religions together to sit down and just talk. Right? We learned so much about each other. We did community service things. We did all these projects. We were able to accomplish a lot of things when we worked together. Right? And then later on, we also formed a Muslim-Christian interfaith club. We did similar things. We sat down. We had Bible, Quran readings. We had discussions. We learned about each other. And when we do more things like that, we can solve a lot of the problems that we face. We can make our country safer when we work together to solve problems. We can make our community safer when we work together to deal with these problems and foster a spirit of trust. So really, that's all I want to kind of convey to you. And I think the Q&A session, I look forward to that, so we can have more of a back and forth discussion about things that are on your mind. But really, that's just what I wanted to emphasize, that we're just normal people. I grew up here, I've been here, we've been here for years. We've just been living peacefully. We don't mean anything weird.